Here's an uncomfortable truth about EC2. An instance can show a perfectly healthy status check while the application on it is completely dead. On August 12, 2026, AWS finally closed that gap with a new check type that actually asks your application whether it's okay, not just the virtual machine underneath it. EC2 has always run two automatic checks. A system status check is the underlying hardware and hypervisor healthy, and an instant status check is the VM's own network configuration responding. Both can pass while your actual application is hung. A hung web server, a dead Docker daemon, an app stuck returning 500s, none of that touches the VM layer, so both existing checks keep reporting healthy. Application status checks fix this by sending a real HTTP or HTTPS request to your app's own endpoint every 60 seconds. Before creating a check, make sure your app actually serves a health endpoint that returns a real success code, and that the instance's security group allows inbound traffic from the check's source security group, which AWS provides automatically in the default setup. Creating a check is one CLI call, protocol, port, path, and the status code you consider healthy. The check interval is fixed at 60 seconds and isn't configurable. A check does nothing until you associate it with instances, by instance ID, by any tag, or, the useful one, by the auto-scaling group's own system tag, which covers every current and future instance in that group automatically. Verify the result before trusting it. A healthy instance reports status OK with a response code matched reason on every associated check. Once associated with an auto-scaling group, auto-scaling automatically replaces any impaired instance, no extra config needed. But there are two separate grace periods here: the check's own initialization grace period, and the auto-scaling group's health check grace period. Set both to actually cover your app's real startup time, or new instances get replaced in a loop before they ever finish booting. A normal deploy or restart makes your app briefly unresponsive, which reads as a failure to auto-scaling. Suppress the check first, in your pre-deploy hook, for the duration of the maintenance window, then disable the suppression once the deploy finishes. Keep your health endpoint checking this instance's own state, not a shared database, otherwise one shared blip fails every instance at once. Cap concurrent replacements with an instance maintenance policy, alarm on the status check failed _application metric, and treat the IAM actions that manage these checks as change controlled, since they can directly cause terminations. The mistakes that actually bite: a grace period shorter than your real startup time, a health endpoint that redirects instead of returning success directly, a protocol mismatch between the check and what your app actually serves, and forgetting the inbound security group rule entirely. Quick answers: this doesn't replace ALB target group health checks, it's a separate tool for instances outside that context. It costs 1 cent per hour per managed network interface per availability zone. It does report a failure during a reboot, which is expected, so suppress it first. And it's available in all commercial AWS regions plus GovCloud US. To sum up, this checks your actual application, not just the VM, every 60 seconds. Create it with one CLI call, associate it by tag or auto-scaling group name, set both grace periods to match real startup time, and suppress it before deployments instead of just disassociating it. The full written guide, with every command and the complete troubleshooting table, is on the blog, link in the description. Subscribe for daily cloud and DevOps breakdowns.